I'm really glad this interview actually got delayed because Her Private Hell is really one of those films that stick with you. I've been thinking about it the whole week since I watched it. And I was curious, how does your approach differ when you're doing a film that is meant to be interpreted and it's naturally divided people because it's definitely a challenging work. Does anything change about your approach as an actor? Because it's very vibes based, it's very trippy. You're working with one of our true auteurs.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely felt um there was less it was less specific within like building out the character trajectory and being like this scene leads to this and this is cause and effect, which is I am very keen on, mapping out a character trajectory right before and feeling as doing as much prep as possible. And the prep for this was within finding the world and listening to music and tuning into yourself. It felt very like going inwards. So it felt deeper and more emotional. And I think because I mean, a lot of the prep was like building a relationship with Nick and feeling comfortable with him. And because things were changing a lot day to day, but we were lucky enough to shoot in order. So it did feel like we were building the character from the ground up from day one. But the scariest day was day one. I remember doing this scene feeling like I was floating. A lot of the time I felt like I was floating.
I read that Nicholas was straight up like having dreams and then rewriting scenes the morning of based on his dreams. Like that has to make you really change your approach. I assume it's freeing in a way because you have to really be in the moment and roll with the punches. What was most rewarding about that experience? Because that definitely had to change how you work.
Yeah. I mean, it forced me to go inwards and look at myself and think about my dreams and my relationship to music and art. I feel like it also forced me to, not forced me, but I really had to rely on my intuition and I couldn't prep anything and it had to happen in the day. And I think there was so much discovery within that you couldn't have planned out. And um, we couldn't have predicted where Elle was going to go. I had no idea. And I think that was the biggest thing, learning to embrace the unknown was probably my biggest takeaway. And I think he made it very clear early on when all of us are asking him all these questions and like, give us concrete answers about who's Elle as a kid, yada, yada. Like, I had an idea, I had a feeling. It was very feeling based. And I think that is natural for me as an actor because that's my job. Um, and even just with him playing music on set and everything, it was about capturing a feeling rather than, you know, overly intellectualizing it and just having trust in him that he would put it together and make it cohesive in a way. And it was, but it's still very abstract and it's like a mosaic. And maybe it doesn't make sense to people, but it's about the experience and being open to the experience.
Yeah, I think this is going to be definitely rewarding upon rewatches just for that specific reason that you
Yeah,
mentioned.
saying
And
that at the beginning too, it's very nice. I like when it sticks with people or bleeds into people's dreams. I think that's so interesting.
yeah, that's awesome. And I read another quote from you that you had kind of learned bad acting techniques that work specifically for horror, but not elsewhere, and you wanted to get away from that. I always love your performance, but I thought that was just a tremendous like act of self-appraisal and knowing that you can't just rely on what has worked for the past. Can you just speak to that perspective of wanting to challenge yourself and grow as an artist rather than just becoming a scream queen where all you do is horror?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's all these tricks that I've learned to get to emotional places that feel a bit inauthentic. It's not about like diving deep into a character. It's very result based. So I think that is kind of where I was coming with that. Yeah, I feel like because this was so stylized, but it was also so still. And there were so many close-ups and so much silence and just sitting in silence that you could see through everything that it I felt like I was always in it. I feel like I was in it on set when we weren't rolling. And I've never had that before where it's like, oh, I can quickly start crying and go there by what, like doing something that's very technical. And that's fine too. And that's amazing. But I think at that point, I'd done so much of that that I was craving something that felt, again, more inwards, and looking for something deeper.